You walk into the kitchen and forget why you came here. Or mid-conversation, your mind blanks, leaving you embarrassed. Sounds familiar? Most people assume this is just normal aging. The brain slows down. Nothing you can do. Just accept it. But what if that belief is completely wrong? What if the forgetting, the fogginess, the slower thinking, none of that has to be permanent? Because here's what the latest research is showing. Brain decline is real, but it is not a one-way road. There are 8 specific, science-backed actions that can stimulate new brain growth and reverse the damage. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, week-by-week plan to start today. Before we get into what you can do, let's talk about what's actually happening inside your brain. Because most people think brain aging just means my memory is getting weaker. But it's much more specific than that, and understanding it is the first step to doing something about it. There's a part of your brain called the hippocampus. This is your brain's memory center, where new memories are formed and stored. After the age of 60, the hippocampus shrinks at about 1 to 2% every single year. Without any intervention, that adds up fast. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the part that handles planning, focus, and decision-making, starts to thin. The connections between brain cells, called synapses, become less dense. Signals travel more slowly between neurons. And neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new connections and adapt, begins to slow down. So brain aging isn't just a little forgetfulness. It's structural, metabolic, and hormonal. The actual physical tissue of your brain is changing. But here's the part that changes everything. Neuroplasticity doesn't disappear. Not in your 70s, not in your 80s. Your brain still has the ability to form new connections, grow new cells under the right conditions, and adapt to new challenges. It is not a fixed machine that only goes downhill. It's a living organ that responds to what you do. And the 8 pillars we're about to cover target the exact biological mechanisms behind brain aging. Let's get into it. If there is one thing on this entire list with the most powerful, most well-researched effect on brain health, it's this: aerobic exercise. In 2011, a randomized controlled trial. It is the gold standard of research. It was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Researchers split older adults into 2 groups. One group did aerobic exercise. The other did stretching. After 1 year, they measured the hippocampus. The aerobic exercise group showed a 2% increase in hippocampus volume. That reversed 1 to 2 years of age-related shrinkage. In just 12 months, with exercise alone. How does it work? Aerobic exercise triggers your brain to release something called BDNF, which stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain. It promotes the growth of new neurons, supports the ones you already have, and strengthens synaptic connections. Exercise also increases blood flow to the brain, delivering more oxygen and nutrients, and it enhances neuroplasticity directly. You don't need to run a marathon. The research prescription is 40 to 45 minutes of aerobic exercise, 3 times a week, at 60 to 75% of your maximum heart rate. Brisk walking counts. If your heart rate picks up and you're slightly breathless but can still talk, you're in the right zone. Consistency beats intensity every time. A steady moderate walk, done 3 times a week for months, will do more for your brain than one hard workout you never repeat. And here's something that makes this even more motivating. The participants in that 2011 study weren't athletes. They were average older adults who simply started walking regularly. That means this isn't reserved for people who are already fit. It's available to almost anyone who is willing to lace up their shoes 3 times a week and get moving. The brain doesn't care how fast you go. It cares that you showed up consistently. Here's something most people don't expect to find on a brain health list: lifting weights. But once you understand the mechanism, it makes complete sense. When your muscles work against resistance, whether dumbbells, bands, or your own body weight, they release signaling proteins called myokines into your bloodstream. One of the most important effects of resistance training is that it raises levels of IGF-1, which stands for insulin-like growth factor 1. IGF-1 crosses the blood-brain barrier, entering the brain directly, where it supports neuron survival and growth. Multiple randomized controlled trials have shown that resistance training improves executive function in older adults, specifically attention, planning, and mental flexibility. These are exactly the abilities that tend to slip first with age. The prescription is 2 sessions per week. No gym required. Wall push-ups, chair squats, and step-ups all work. Resistance bands are gentle on joints and highly effective. Focus on the major muscle groups: legs, back, chest, and arms. The takeaway is simple: muscle health and brain health are directly connected. When you strengthen your body, you are also protecting your brain. A lot of seniors skip resistance training because they think it's only for younger people or people who want to look a certain way. But the research is telling us something different. Resistance training is one of the most powerful anti-aging interventions we have, and a large part of that benefit shows up not in the mirror, but inside your skull. Before we keep going, I'd love to know where you're watching from. If this video is helping you understand how to protect your brain, type "great" in the comments. Or type "improve" if it doesn't. And if you want to learn more life-saving health tips, subscribe to Knowhow and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. This one is a big deal that doesn't get talked about enough in brain health conversations. The connection between blood sugar and your brain is far stronger than most people realize. When blood sugar is chronically high, the tiny blood vessels inside your brain get damaged. Over time, this reduces blood flow to neurons and accelerates cognitive decline. Insulin resistance also makes the hippocampus less efficient at forming and retrieving memories. The hippocampus is extremely sensitive to how well insulin is working in your body. In fact, some researchers now refer to Alzheimer's disease as type 3 diabetes, because the link between insulin resistance and Alzheimer's risk is that strong. The mechanisms include glucose toxicity, where high sugar levels cause direct damage to brain tissue, increased oxidative stress, and chronic inflammation, all of which speed up neurodegeneration. Here's what you can do practically. First, take a 10 to 15-minute walk after meals. This is one of the most effective ways to blunt post-meal blood sugar spikes, and the research behind it is solid. Second, reduce refined carbohydrates. White bread, white rice, pastries, and sugary drinks cause rapid glucose spikes that are hard on your brain over time. Third, get your A1C checked regularly. A1C is a blood test showing your average blood sugar over 2 to 3 months. Keeping it in a healthy range is one of the best long-term investments you can make in your brain. Stable blood sugar means a protected, well-functioning brain. And the good news here is that you don't need a drastic diet overhaul to make a real difference. Even small, consistent reductions in refined carbs, swapping white bread for whole grain, or choosing water over juice, add up over weeks and months into meaningfully better blood sugar stability. Your brain feels the difference before you even see it on a lab test. This one is simple, affordable, and backed by a large, well-designed study called the Cosmos Mind Trial. Researchers followed over 3,500 adults with an average age of 73 for 3 years. The group that took a daily multivitamin showed meaningfully better memory scores compared to the placebo group. The researchers estimated the multivitamin group preserved approximately 3 years of memory function compared to those who didn't take one. 3 years from a daily multivitamin. Why does this work specifically for seniors? As we age, our stomach produces less acid, and stomach acid is what allows the body to absorb vitamin B12 from food. Even if you eat well, you may not be absorbing enough B12, and B12 is critical for nerve function and brain health. Vitamin D deficiency is also extremely common in older adults, and low vitamin D is linked to faster cognitive decline. Nutritional gaps accumulate quietly over years and eventually show up as cognitive symptoms. A multivitamin isn't magic, and it doesn't replace real food, but it fills the nutritional gaps that seniors are uniquely vulnerable to. That's the real value here. Here's a brain nutrient almost nobody talks about, but the research behind it is genuinely impressive: choline. Your brain uses choline to produce a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter most directly tied to memory formation and attention. It is essentially the chemical your brain uses to learn and remember. Choline also supports the structural integrity of cell membranes throughout the brain, keeping neurons healthy at a physical level. A long-term study from Finland found that people with the highest dietary choline intake had a 28% lower risk of developing dementia compared to those with the lowest intake. That is not a small difference. And a clinical trial published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that higher choline intake was directly associated with better memory performance. The most practical and affordable source of choline is eggs. 1 to 2 eggs per day provides a meaningful dose in a form your body absorbs easily. Other good sources include fish, poultry, and soy. The research consistently shows whole food choline works better than supplementing it, so always try food first. If you've been avoiding eggs over old cholesterol concerns, current scientific consensus is that moderate egg consumption is safe for most people and offers real nutritional benefits. Talk to your doctor if you have specific concerns. But don't be afraid of eggs. Think about it this way. An egg costs less than 30 cents. It takes 3 minutes to cook, and it delivers one of the most brain-protective nutrients you can get from a single food. That's one of the best value trades in all of nutrition. This might be the most enjoyable prescription on the entire list. 1 cup of blueberries a day. Blueberries are loaded with compounds called anthocyanins, which are the pigments that give them their deep blue-purple color. These compounds cross the blood-brain barrier and directly improve how neurons communicate with each other. They also reduce oxidative stress inside brain tissue, protecting neurons from the kind of quiet, cumulative damage that builds up over years. A 12-week randomized controlled trial found that older adults who ate blueberries daily showed improved immediate recall, meaning they could remember things better right after being told them, along with better task switching. This means they could move between mental tasks more efficiently. Both of these are exactly the cognitive abilities that tend to decline first with age. 1 cup per day is the practical recommendation. And here's good news for your grocery budget. Frozen blueberries work just as well as fresh. The anthocyanins survive the freezing process completely. Add them to oatmeal, blend them into a smoothie, or eat them straight. Simple, cheap, and effective. Here's a fact that surprises most people. About 60% of your brain is made of fat. And not just any fat. It is a specific type called DHA, or docosahexaenoic acid. DHA is a major structural component of your synapses, which are the connection points between neurons where all communication happens. When your diet is low in DHA, your brain literally doesn't have the raw materials it needs to maintain healthy synaptic connections. Research shows that low DHA levels in the blood are associated with faster brain atrophy, meaning the brain physically shrinks more quickly, as well as lower scores on memory and cognitive tests. At the cellular level, DHA improves the fluidity of cell membranes, making it easier for signals to pass between neurons. It's not just a structural building block. It actively supports the communication your brain depends on every day. The best source of DHA is fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel, herring. 2 servings per week covers you well. If you don't regularly eat fatty fish, an omega-3 supplement with at least 500 milligrams of DHA per day is a solid alternative. Just make sure the label specifies DHA content, not just total omega-3. Your brain is literally built from this nutrient. Getting enough of it is one of the most direct things you can do to protect brain structure and function. And here's what makes DHA different from almost everything else on this list. Most brain interventions work by stimulating the brain or protecting it from damage. DHA does something more fundamental. It literally provides the building material your brain uses to maintain its own structure. Without it, your brain is trying to repair a house without having the right bricks. With it, repairs happen the way they're supposed to. The last pillar might be the most underrated one, and it's where most seniors are unknowingly doing damage to their brain every single night. Here's something researchers have only discovered relatively recently. Your brain has its own dedicated cleaning system, called the glymphatic system. During deep sleep, this system switches on and flushes toxic waste products out of the brain, including a protein called beta amyloid, which accumulates in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. When you don't get enough quality sleep, the glymphatic system can't do its job properly. Beta amyloid builds up, and over time, this buildup is directly linked to accelerated cognitive decline. Sleep is not passive rest. Sleep is active brain repair. Here's what to do practically. Aim for 7 to 8 hours per night. Keep your sleep schedule consistent, the same bedtime and wake time every day. Avoid screens for at least 1 hour before bed, because blue light suppresses melatonin. Keep your bedroom dark and slightly cool, around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Every night of good sleep is your brain cleaning itself, repairing connections, and consolidating memories. Every night of poor sleep is a missed opportunity. If this video is helping you, please take a second to hit the thumbs up button right now. It really helps this video reach more people who need to know that brain aging doesn't have to be permanent. Let's bring this all together, because there's a big picture here worth seeing clearly. Brain aging happens for specific reasons. Your hippocampus physically shrinks. Your prefrontal cortex thins. Synaptic connections become less dense. The biological drivers are structural shrinkage from reduced stimulation, metabolic stress from unstable blood sugar, hormonal shifts that reduce neuroprotective signals, chronic inflammation, and reduced neuroplasticity from inactivity. That's the problem. Here's the reversal. Aerobic exercise directly stimulates the hippocampus to grow back. Resistance training sends muscle-derived signals straight to the brain. Stable blood sugar protects the tiny vessels your brain depends on. A daily multivitamin closes the nutrient gaps seniors face. Choline feeds the neurotransmitter system most critical for memory. Blueberries reduce the oxidative damage, quietly degrading your neurons. Omega-3 DHA gives your synapses the structural material they are literally made from. And quality sleep activates your brain's cleaning system every night. None of these require a prescription. None of them are complicated. But the research is consistent. Small habits done regularly compound into major changes over months. 2% hippocampus growth from walking. 28% lower dementia risk from eggs. 3 years of preserved memory from a multivitamin. Your brain at 65, 70, or 80 is not finished. It is waiting for the right conditions. Here's how to actually start, week by week, so it never feels overwhelming. In week 1, focus on just 2 things. Start brisk walking 3 times this week, 40 minutes each session, and add 1 to 2 eggs to your daily meals. That's it. 2 simple changes. Don't add anything else yet. Just build the habit. In week 2, add 2 more pillars. Begin resistance training twice this week. Chair squats, wall push-ups, and standing marches work perfectly if you don't have equipment. And start having a cup of blueberries daily, whether fresh, frozen, on oatmeal, or in a smoothie. In week 3, shift focus to the metabolic and recovery side. Start taking a 10 to 15-minute walk after your biggest meal of the day. Reduce refined carbohydrates where you can. And get serious about sleep this week. Set a consistent bedtime, no screens an hour before bed, and a cool, dark room. By week 4, you're putting it all together. Walking 3 times a week, resistance training twice, eggs daily, blueberries daily. Post-meal walks, better sleep, a daily multivitamin, and fatty fish twice a week. You're not doing anything extreme. You're doing 8 small, research-backed things consistently. Watch for these changes as the weeks pass. Sharper focus during conversations. Easier recall of names and details. Clearer thinking in the mornings. More mental energy after exercise. These shifts don't happen overnight, but they do happen. Track them. They're your brain responding. There's a belief many seniors carry, that the brain is on a one-way road. That once the forgetting starts, there's nothing left to do but accept it. This video exists to tell you that belief is wrong. The same brain you're worried about right now can still respond to exercise with new neuron growth. It can rebuild synaptic connections when it gets the right nutrients. It cleans itself every night when you sleep well. It is more adaptable and more responsive to your choices than most people ever realize. Brain aging isn't permanent. The research says so. And you now have 8 specific, evidence-backed tools to start reversing it, starting this week. Pick the first 2. Walk 3 times. Add the eggs. Build from there. Your brain has more to give. It just needs the right conditions. Here's the thing about all 8 of these pillars. None of them are dramatic. None require you to completely change your life overnight. But when you stack them together, a little movement, better food choices, quality sleep, you are creating an environment where your brain can heal, grow, and protect itself. That's giving your brain permission to be better than it's been in years. If this video helped you understand that brain aging isn't permanent and what you can actually do about it, please share it with someone over 60 who needs to hear this. Ask each other, which pillar are we starting with this week? Subscribe to Knowhow for more clear, helpful health content that could save lives. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an important video. Thank you for watching and for trusting me with something as important as your brain health. See you in the next video.